new lesson I will show you how to hold the pick and give you some tips on the right hand technique in terms of picking. I will do another lesson in terms of finger style. The way actually a lot of students ask me how I hold the pick and how to hold the pick, and I have to say I actually looked into this quite a bit when I was much younger, because the way I started playing, I was always influenced by guitarists that played with their, plucking with their fingers, like Mark Knopfler, Jeff Beck, or and actually I started playing classical guitar, so I looked into a lot of this in detail when I started teaching. And actually you will see that in modern guitar you will see a massive difference between, let's say, Pat Metheny that holds the pick almost like with both fingers, sometimes with both the middle finger and the index finger opposite to the thumb, obviously, and let's say as opposite to Van Halen, which sometimes actually holds it so you can tap with his index finger, holds it with his middle finger between his thumb and his middle finger. So the way I suggest it is usually to hold, obviously, let me just zoom in a bit, get a bit closer, hopefully we'll focus. So hold, obviously, not the pointy hand but the round hand. Obviously you can experiment. I have made a lesson on playing with different picks before, and it's I'll put a link underneath the video so you can check that out as well. I think it's really good. So the way I suggest is to hold it obviously on the round side, and to put your hand out like you were shaking somebody's hand, putting the pick there on the last part, or last joint of the index finger, and then basically just hold, bring in your fingers like you would do in a fist, and then hold the pick between your index and your thumb. So there are different then details in doing this. So if you were to play, let's say, a rock riff, something that requires a bit more strength, then you obviously want to have a firmer grip, harder grip, as opposite, let's say, if you want to play something that is funk, or like a funk rhythm, or strumming. Strumming, sometimes you can use a thinner pick, and then you can obviously strum harder. Sometimes you actually use the same pick. I use a medium-sized pick. I think it's a 88 Delrin, and you can just go from, let's say, a single line playing that requires a bit of a harder grip, to just loosening up the pressure you put between the two fingers, and sometimes even it's like straightening up the index finger a bit, so you can just relax and loosen up your wrist and go from and you can obviously then go, you have to obviously exercise and make a conscious effort to see how how hard you need to grip your pick to achieve a decent to achieve a good consistent tone in terms of volume and in terms of tone basically, and between all these different things. So I see a lot of the less experienced guitarists, and they tend to strum, and like the volume is much louder when they strum, and they tend to be much quieter when they have pick a single note. So this is what you have to actually reverse, because obviously your strumming is you're comping for somebody else. You should be quieter, so to speak, more consistent than when you play a single note. Let's say if you play in a solo, you have to stick out. You are featured, so you should be able to lay back a little bit. So loosen up. This is how you achieve this. You loosen up the grip. Maybe the camera will compress a bit the volume, but hopefully it will be clear. So I'm loosening up the grip when I play, when I'm strumming the chords, and when I go into a single line, I hold it much tighter, and obviously I put more pressure into the notes, so that obviously the notes are much louder and it pops out. Okay. So this is quite loose. Same thing, this was just like a pop idea, but then you can, you can apply this to anything. You can apply it to playing jazz. I see also a lot of people that play jazz and they comp that it's just too loud. So say if I had to comp in 4 behind a singer and then play some fills, let's say there's a bass player, I would definitely loosen up the grip of my 2 fingers, holding the pick, so that I can just have a bit more of a lighter tone, like brushes, so to speak. I think of brushes and say, let's just make a quick example. So that was just a quick example of how you can achieve dynamics, how you can be quieter or louder by just having a different amount of pressure on the pick. So obviously hitting the strings much louder or softer without changing the pick or without changing the guitar or the volume. This is just, I'm not plugged in, so this is just the volume that comes from the camera, from the guitar. So that's basically the idea, and trying to experiment. Obviously, if you want a thinner sound, the old stuff, try and pick closer to the bridge. If you want a warmer tone, try and pick closer to the neck. So let's say if I wanted to comp, sometimes actually I would probably, especially for jazz, I would play. And then if I want to play a solo, I'll automatically go down here, where obviously I can pick much harder, the notes are brighter, and they will obviously be more focused, more, more have more presence. So. Okay, that's it. So just to summarize, where you hold your pick is between, the round part between the last tip of your index finger and your thumb, and then try and experiment with how hard and how tight hard you hit the strings and how tight you hold the pick. Make sure that the ratio between comping and soloing in terms of volume is right. Again, I hear too many guys that strum way too hard and way too loud, because that's comping for yourself or somebody else. And then obviously when you play a single line, try and be loud. I know that sometimes that's a bit, being put on the spot when you're playing a solo, it's a bit, lack of confidence, actually unfortunately kicks in sometimes, and that's where, just doing loads of gigs and just going out and playing with your friends, it's just builds confidence, so you can just be, you're not afraid of playing really loud, even if you make a mistake. And that's it. And obviously experiment with different areas of the guitar where you want to obviously have a warmer tone or a more focused tone and all that. Right, thank you, bye bye.